Hello, parents and students. I wanted to encourage you with some information about the college essay and give you some hope. You know, people don't understand or know your student and their unique story. They don't know what's in your student unless that student makes it really apparent through their college essay. And so you have to think of that college essay as being your student's chance to sell his or herself. Okay? And so I want to talk to you about something that hardly anyone else is talking about, because the training into story with a capital S is very specialized. So I took a seminar on story with a capital S by a gentleman who taught over 30 Academy Award winning screenwriters, directors, and producers. And I want to give you one example of the importance of knowing classic story structure and why that's important when you're writing a college essay. And just to give you some background, I applied to UC Berkeley and UC Davis and UC Santa Barbara and UC Santa Cruz in 1988, right out of high school. And I had not a very high GPA at all, and my SAT scores were mediocre at best. My extracurriculars were not very many, but I think my being a musician, a performing musician, and someone being very involved in their church with helping other people through music. You know, we played music in prisons, we played in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco, we played in Dolores Park, and these are big venues, right? I really think it was that college essay that got me in the door. And I did get a lot of help with that. But I also, through the years, really tried to make my writing better. And so many of you can relate to this. Your students are amazing students. They're at the top of their class. And you'll talk to some of these students and they'll say, well, I'm not that good. You know, I'm just so-so. And they genuinely feel that way. And that's how I felt about my writing. I mean, I've published, I was nominated for the best paper at the university. I've worked with writing groups and we've published together. And I've written stories on the radio and they were the most popular, competing against known novelists here in California. And what I really used was the classic story structure. Now, everybody and anybody can write a story, right? Anybody can write a college essay. Because a story, by definition, has to have some conflict in it. And the problem is when you go to a movie, and especially with these blockbusters, or you read many books, many novels out there, is they give you a story. They give you your money's worth. They tell you about a conflict. They tell you how the story involves rising action, how it comes to a fulcrum or a climax, and it gets resolved, and then after that, life resumes a sort of normality, or maybe it changes, but the characters learn something in the process of that story. But the problem is that's a cliche. And as you are competing with thousands of students that are just like your student, very special in their own way, and have top-notch grades, and in some cases perfect SAT scores, they're going to have to step away from the cliche. They're going to have to give the reader something that stays with them. So here's a little trick. Okay, if you have to define your story value, right? And your student has to define for the world out there, what is it that I uniquely have to offer the world? Because colleges are looking for students that can add to the student body, students that enhance the student body. They enhance the lives of others around them, and they make the university a better place. They contribute. They don't just study, study, study. So what is that value? And then if they can talk about that value in terms of a negative, And let's take that a step further, because that's what movies do, right? If you have a movie about justice, then a negative of that, a slight negative one, might be non-justice, right? So someone gets wronged and no one is there to catch the crime, so the person gets away with the crime. Take that a little more negative. The opposite to justice, and we're talking about a value here, right? A movie value is injustice. And those movies are replete. They're all over the place, right? They're in every, superhero movie, these Marvel movies, blockbusters, movies of all kinds talk about injustice. It's like, okay, what are you going to give me that every other movie hasn't given me? And colleges are asking, what are you going to give me that all these other students haven't with their stellar college essays? So you take that negative and you make it the negative of the negative. And in the case of justice, you go from non-justice to its opposite, which is injustice. But now you take it a step further and you talk about tyranny. Now, tyranny is when the guardians of justice in a particular society do not give justice. They are not impartial. So Lady Justice, right? Is that her name? She holds the scales of justice and she has a blindfold. She's supposed to. And she takes that blindfold off and she only applies it to one party. Right? So if your student can take that story, their story of their life, of what they're offering, their journey throughout high school, and maybe your student is interested in genetics and they've done some internships over the summer, they need to tell a story that not only talks about challenges that they have faced, but they might even say something like, my first year I didn't really want to succeed. I just wanted to do what my parents wanted me to do so that I wouldn't get in trouble. But that changed for me. See, I wasn't genuine about it. I wasn't real. I was just doing what college-bound students are supposed to do and supposed to say. And you see that deeper dimension there, that deeper way of connecting? Because people out there, if they don't see something that's real and genuine and authentic, and believe me, when you talk about justice, there's not just injustice, but there's tyranny all over the world. Those are the things that stick with people. And if you can show them that resolution of that story within that college entrance essay, you're going to win their hearts and their minds. And you might just get into UC Berkeley with a mediocre GPA like I did, because you're a real person. And there's always room for people like that in these college campuses. All right? So if you want more information, if you want my free guide on writing, if you want more information about story, if you want more information about the tutoring, if you want a free strategy session, and I have a whole host of resources that I've created as a full-time teacher and a part-time tutor and the founder of The Right Method, then look in the description of this video and reach out and we'll talk. Take care.